Hey everyone, this is Chuck. The name of this module is Find Your Core Values, Part 1. This workshop will be continued in a second module titled Find Your Core Values, Part 2. In today's workshop, Part 1, we're going to talk about who you really are. This is one of the most important lessons in this workshop. If you get this right, it will really open up your mind as to who you really are and to the vast potential that you have as a person. What you will learn today will really set you up for the rest of the time that we have here together. So make sure you set aside some time where you can go through this without interruptions. You're going to make some life-changing decisions here, and I want you to make good decisions, correct decisions, and decisions that you'll be happy with for the rest of your life. Because that's what you're doing here. You're deciding what your life will be like from now on. So set aside the time you need to work without distractions. Turn off your phone. Don't be texting or multitasking during this instruction. Please focus on each workshop. Focus brings clarity, and I think that what you've been looking for is that clarity on who you want to be and what you want your life to be like. Each of these lessons builds upon the last one, so as you go through this entire course, I will ask you to do certain things, and I want you to pause the video and do them. Then resume the video. Complete each exercise as they are presented to you during the workshop. These exercises are meant to help you discover, plan, pursue, and achieve your life's purpose. Always complete each exercise before moving through the workshop. Stop the video whenever you need to finish any of the activities that we provide. It is important that you take your time and really think about this deeply. In these lessons, you'll be laying a foundation that you will need to build upon later. So please don't skip or rush through these exercises. Otherwise, you may have to come back and repeat these steps to get where you need to be to proceed with subsequent lessons. Also, and this is very important, be brutally honest with yourself. Anything you do that is not done with total integrity will only hurt you in the end. So keep it real. Again, don't be afraid to hit the pause button if you need more time to complete any of these exercises. I designed these videos so you could do exactly that. I want you to have all the time that you need to get this right. Also, you can use a pen or paper for these exercises, but I've discovered a tool that can be very helpful while going through this process. That tool is workflowy.com. That's workflowy.com. The basic service is free. However, I did upgrade mine after a time, but I find it quite handy for workflow and productivity. I wrote this entire workshop in Workflowy. Now, let's move on to today's workshop. The only way to understand your full potential is to first understand who you are. This is key. You will rely heavily on the results that you obtain from this lesson as we go through this entire course together. So take your time and get this right before you move on to any of the other lessons. One more thing. Please make sure that you have downloaded the PDF entitled Personal Values List, posted directly below this video before you proceed any further. You will need that personal values list throughout this workshop. Print it out and put it in a loose leaf notebook. We will refer to this notebook as your American Dream Guidebook from now on. All right, if you're ready, get your pen and paper ready and let's get started. I want you to take out a new sheet of paper or start a new blank document and write the following heading: 5 Childhood Imaginations. Now I want you to take some time, however much time you need, and below this heading, make a list. I want you to remember back when you were a child and list a minimum of 5 people, heroes, or professions you pretended to be when you were a child. Who did you make believe you were when you were young? So take some time and think back to your childhood and remember when you were 4, 5, or 6, 7 years old. Who did you play act that you were? When you made believe, who did you play like you were? Maybe it was Princess Leia, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, Iron Man. Maybe you were a Disney character like Ariel, Cinderella, Bella, Snow White. Were you a magical character like a wizard or fairy? Here's a list of some other ideas that might be helpful. Doctor, football player, basketball player. Maybe you thought about being a pirate. Captain Hook, perhaps. Peter Pan or Wendy. Maybe you were a baseball player, a nurse, salesman, a dad or a mom. Maybe you practiced fashion modeling. Maybe you wanted to be a movie star. Did you have a lemonade stand? Perhaps you wanted to be a business owner or an entrepreneur, perhaps a shopkeeper. Maybe you wanted to be an astronomer or an astronaut. Did you play cops and robbers? Did you want to be the policeman or did you want to be the robber? I always wanted to be the cop. Maybe you wanted to be an airline pilot, or you practiced being a singer or a dancer, maybe even a ballerina. Did you ever act like you were a scuba diver, a millionaire, maybe a king or a queen? Take whatever time you need and seriously remember your childhood years when you were in first, second, or third grade, or even younger. You can list more than 5 if you want, but jot down at least 5 hero figures that you wanted to be like when you were a young child. Who did you role play or act like you were? Who did you want to be at that age? Who did you dream of being? Pause this workshop video now and write at least 5 of them. You can write more if you want, but 5 should suffice. Your list would look something like this. Perhaps it was Mighty Mouse that you looked up to when you were a kid. Maybe you associated better with the Knights of the Round Table and acted out as if you were Sir Lancelot. Maybe you wanted to be a doctor or acted as if you were a dancer or a model. So pause the video now and pick the 5 childhood heroes that you imagined that you wanted to be when you grew up and write them down right now, and then come back to the video when you're ready. All right, welcome back. Now, to each of your 5 listed heroes, I want you to choose a personal value that this person represents. What personal value does this person exemplify that you most admire? What drew you to look up to this person when you were a child? Or what draws you to them now? You can pick a personal value from the personal values list that we downloaded earlier, and that's in your American Dream guidebook, or you can choose one of your own. The personal values list is just there to assist you. It's not a comprehensive list of personal values, so you can choose any personal value that you want, but the list is there to guide you, to help you, so that you get an idea of what kinds of words that you should use to associate yourself with any of these 5 childhood heroes. When you're finished, your list might look like this. Now, in this example, I chose strength to represent Mighty Mouse. That appealed to me. If I had have acted like I was one of the Knights of the Round Table or Sir Lancelot, I would have aspired or looked at Sir Lancelot that he had a lot of bravery, and so I might have picked bravery as the word that best fit a personal value that I aspired to emulate. Maybe I wanted to be a healer, and therefore a doctor was someone that I acted out. Maybe the elegance of a dancer inspired you, or maybe you enjoyed the beauty and glamour of a model. Any of these personal values are words that you can use to associate with the heroes that you looked up to when you were a child. So make sure you have 5 values, 5 personal values that associate with the 5 names that you wrote for your heroes. Choose these personal values very carefully in each case. List the personal value that you are most drawn to. Pick a personal value that you thought about when you were acting as if you were this person. Why did this person or profession interest you? What did you see in them when you were young that made you look up to them? What personal value did you see in them that attracted you? So pause the video and assign a personal value to your list of names now. All right, do you have 5 heroes and 5 personal values? Great, let's move on then. Now I want you to make a new document, and I want you to title this document 5 Juvenile Imaginations. So we're going to do the same thing that you did in the previous exercise, only this time you're going to do it for the ages of 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12 years old. In your youth, what did you want to be when you grew up? So pause the video and write down those 5 names now. Great. You should now have 5 new heroes, professions, or characters that you aspired to be or fantasized about being when you were between the ages of 8 and 12 years old. What did you want to do or be when you got older? So your list might look like this. Maybe you wanted to be a police officer or a mom. There's the movie star again. Maybe you wanted to be like J. Paul Getty. When I was growing up, J. Paul Getty was the guy that we looked to as the millionaire. He was the richest man in the world at the time when I was growing up. Maybe you read a novel and aspired to be like Robinson Crusoe, who was marooned on an island, or one of the sports heroes. Any one of these are fine. Now, I put 6 here just for the sake of example, but I only need 5 from you. To each of these 5 aspirations, I want you to assign now a personal value. This is just like we did in the previous exercise, but now we're going to do it for this next set of heroes. What personal value does this aspiration exemplify? What is it about this person, character, or profession that you admire most? Pick a personal value from the personal values list or choose one of your own. Remember to take time and choose them carefully. So pause the video and list those personal values now. Okay, great job. Now, after adding your associated personal values, your list could look like this. So in this example, I put down that the police officer exemplified trust and integrity. My mom was very loving and caring. Movie star, maybe it was the fame that drew you to wanting to be like a movie star. For me, J. Paul Getty was the millionaire. Robinson Crusoe was ingenious. He built rafts and did all these cool things, and I aspired to be like that when I was a kid. Maybe you wanted to be a sports hero, and maybe the athleticism or some other attribute that you saw in those sports hero would be the personal value that you want to assign to sports hero. So if you're finished with that, let's make a new document. Now for this new document, what I want you to do is label this one 5 Teenage Imaginations. So we're going to do the same exact thing that we did before, only this time we're going to do it for the ages of 13, 14, 15, and 16 years old. I want you to list 5 teenage daydreams, desires, or imaginations of people or professions that you wanted to be like when you were that age. What did you want to be when you grew up at the age of 14, 15, or 16? Maybe you wanted to be a mom or a dad. Maybe you loved horses and you wanted to ride, own, or race your own horse, or simply just be with a horse. It doesn't have to be a profession. It can be a thing that you loved or you desired to do. For example, maybe your grandmother painted oil paintings and you've always wanted to do that. Then use the label artist as something that you wanted to be when you got older. Again, you may not have wanted the profession of being an artist. Maybe you just wanted to be artistic or to be an artist for your own personal reasons. The same goes for acting, or racing cars, or raising chickens. Whatever top dream that you really had and cared about, add that to the list. As you make these lists, try to list different dreams for each of the age groups, but again, that may not be possible. Sometimes you want something throughout your life. So pause the video now and write down the 5 things that you wanted to be when you grew up between the ages of 14 and 17 years old. Okay, welcome back. You should now have 5 additional dreams or goals from your teenage years. As an example in this segment, I wrote down something different than you see on this current list. I didn't want to raise chickens or race cars. What I wanted to do was be a classic car collector. I also wanted to own a body shop because as a body shop owner, I could have a profession that also had something to do with my passion for classic cars. As you can see there, I also wanted to be a church missionary. I aspired to be that. I also wanted to be a Spanish speaker. I live in Arizona, and so that was something that I really admired in people if they could speak Spanish. I also wanted to be a husband and a father. So now what I want you to do with your list is take each of your 5 teenage aspirations and assign a personal value. Again, you can use the personal values list. What personal value does this aspiration best represent to you? Let me give you another example. As an example, these are the personal values that I assigned to these aspirations of mine. Car collecting, I thought that these cars were artistically beautiful, and I loved that. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and so the body shop owner was kind of a blend between collecting cars and having my own business, which I always wanted to do, is have my own business. I wanted to serve God. I'm very religious. I also wanted to improve myself and speak Spanish. I'd love to speak other languages as well. But I wanted to be a husband and a father because of the love and companionship that I aspired to have, as well as to be the moral guide for a family, to lead a family. So those are the personal responsibilities that I felt I wanted to have growing up, and those are the personal values that I assigned to those aspirations. Pause the video right now and take the time to carefully think out what 5 personal values you would assign to these aspirations of yours. Are you done? All right, great. If you're not, go ahead and finish up. Pause the video if you're not. But if you are done, then I want you to make a new document and label this one 5 Fictional Heroes. I want you to list 5 fictional characters that you looked up to as a kid. Cartoon characters, superheroes, movie or novel characters. Maybe they were a folklore legend, some character in a fairy tale book. And once you have your 5 listed, then we'll come back. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and do so now. Okay, are you done? Great. If not, pause the video and go ahead and list those 5. Here are some examples that I used. For example, maybe you wanted to be a Cinderella princess. Maybe you wanted to be a Princess Leia type princess. Maybe you affiliated with the Three Musketeers, Bugs Bunny or James Bond. No matter who you picked, those are things that you looked up to, and they have particular values. They have personal values that spoke to you. And so what I want you to do is think about these 5 fictional characters. What is it about them that made you like them? What is it that you admired in them? What special thing did they accomplish? What lifestyle did they live that you can relate to? What was their motto? What was their reason for doing the things they did? Do you hold these same ideals? What is it about them that draws you to them? So to each of your 5 heroes, I want you to assign and write down a personal value, like we did before, that you admire most in them. Now, I want you to pick a personal value of your own, or, of course, pick one from the personal values list. And when you're done, come back to the video. Go ahead and pause, and I will wait for you. All right. So in a sample list that I did, maybe that you picked 5 fictional heroes like Cinderella, Princess Leia, the Three Musketeers. Maybe it was even Bugs Bunny or James Bond. I know James Bond has always been one of my heroes. You should have also picked certain values for each one of them. So in this case, I thought maybe Cinderella exemplified grace and beauty. Princess Leia was adventurous. Maybe the Three Musketeers spoke to you because of their friendship or loyalty, one for all. Bugs Bunny was very clever and very witty. James Bond was for God and country. So, are you finished with this list of 5 fictional heroes? Because we're going to move on to the next exercise. In this next exercise, I want you to make a new document again. Take out a new sheet of paper or create a new document. And on this last one, I want you to title this one, 5 Real-Life Heroes. I want you to make a list of 5 real people you look up to or consider to be a hero or a role model. So pause the video and write down those 5 names now. Okay, are you done? Great. Now think about what American dream are they living or did they live that you aspire to? I want you to ask yourself these questions about them. Why do you like them? What is their claim to fame? What great things did they accomplish? What did they stand for? And what was their purpose in life? What was their reason for doing what they did? Do you hold these same ideals? What is it about them that draws you to them? As you think about each of these 5 real people, assign a personal value that you admire about each one of them as you have done previously. So pause the video and finish this exercise. I'll leave this slide up so you can refer to those questions as you think about your 5 real-life heroes. All right, are you finished? If you're finished, you should now have listed 5 real heroes and 5 personal values that you've associated with those heroes. At this point in the workshop, you should also have 5 separate documents, each listing 5 heroes and 5 corresponding values on each list. So here's what your list should look like. These are your heroes lists. You should have 5 lists, and these 5 lists are Childhood Imaginations. You should have Juvenile Imaginations, Teenage Imaginations, your Fictional Heroes list, as well as your real life heroes. Also, you should have with each of these lists the accompanying personal values that you assign to each person or characters. Now, if you're missing any of these, go back and get this done so we can stay on track. But if you are finished, great job. Thank you for hanging in there with me through these exercises. You should have now 5 lists with a combined total of at least 25 people, heroes, or aspirations, and at least 25 corresponding personal values. Now, in this next exercise, I want you to take these 5 lists and pull out from those 5 lists the 25 personal values that you assign to each one of those heroes and put them together in a single list. So go ahead and do that now. You should now have a comprehensive list of about 25 personal values that reflect who you are personally and the character traits that you value highly. There's a reason that I had you go through this exercise. What we're doing here is getting you to the core personal values of your dreams and desires. We are just scratching the surface of who you really are. In order for you to learn your full potential, it is important to know what you value and what values your aspirations represent. Your dreams, desires, and values are the key to unlocking your destiny and finding your greatness. If you put forth the effort to really think about who you look up to and the values that you admire in those people and professions, then these values will accurately reflect the core of who you really are. You now have 25 or more clues to the kind of person you are now and the kind of person you can become. These are the qualities you possess, cherish, or are predisposed to develop and improve. Your value to others is reflected in those core traits and tendencies. People value others based on the qualities they portray and exhibit. These 25 traits are what you value, and as you develop them and improve upon them, you will exhibit them in the actions of your daily life. These traits are the admired qualities others will see in you. I know it takes a bit of investigation to go through all this, but as you experience this exercise, you will begin to see some patterns emerge, and you will begin to see, maybe for the first time in your life, just how special you really are. As you begin to come into focus to yourself, your true purpose in life will begin to come into focus as well. All right, so now you have a list of about 25 personal values. In the next exercise, what I want you to do is group these personal values into 5 different sets. I want you to group similar values together as best you can. So, for example, in my list of 25 and 25, on the left we have the list of heroes, the 25 heroes, and on the right we have the list of 25 personal values. So I want you to strip out the heroes and just focus on the personal values. Those are the 25 personal values that you already pulled out. Now I want you to group your values into sets of similar values. So here's how I divided mine out. As you can see, I started with this list of 25 and I grouped them into 5 different groups of similar nature. In group 1, I grouped strength, bravery, God and country, and healer together. In group 2, I grouped elegance, glamour, artistic beauty, grace, and I had a second beauty listed in there. So I put that in group 2. In group 3, I grouped together the personal values of trust and integrity, honor, responsibility, self-improvement, and exceptionalism. In group 4, I grouped together friendship, loyalty, love and companionship, and love and caring, 2 different kinds of love, and then pure love, like the pure love of Christ, and serving God. In group 5, I put together vision, entrepreneur, ingenuity, cleverness, wit, and adventure. And that's how I made my groupings. So what I want you to do is look at each of your sets and make sure that each set has groups of similar personal values. Identify the value that best represents the group of values and the value with which you most identify. For example, in Group 1, I thought strength best represented Group 1. In Group 2, I felt like beauty best represented the personal value of that group. In Group 3, I picked honor. In Group 4, I picked love. And in Group 5, I picked vision. So now you understand what I'd like you to do, so let's all do this together. You're making a list of your 5 core values. So in this sample, 5 of my core values would be strength from Group 1, beauty from Group 2, honor from Group 3, love from Group 4, and vision from Group 5. So let's get to work on your group. I want you to take out a new document or paper and title this one, My Core Values. Now look at your Group 1 of personal values and find the value that you identify in that group that best represents that first group of values, and write that identifying value on your My Core Values sheet. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to. So you should now have listed for number 1, one of your core values from Group 1. In my case, I wrote down strength. So now take a look at Group 2 and pick the core value from Group 2 that best represents your second group of values and list that identifying value on your My Core Values sheet. Pause the video if you need to, and when you're done, we'll start again. Number 2 should now have a core value. Don't use mine, use your own. But in my case, I used beauty. All right, so now we're on to step 3. Step 3 is find the core value from Group 3. Same thing that we've done before. Pause the video if you need to. All right, so we're back, and I chose honor, and so I listed that for number 3. And so in the next step, I want you to look at Group 4 and find the core value that best represents Group 4. All right, so I chose love for my Group 4. You put what came from your Group 4. Now in Group 5, I want you to find the core value from Group 5, just as we've done before. You can pause the video, and when you're done, start the video again. Okay, you should be done. For Group 5, I chose vision. You should have all 5 done now. All right, now you should have all 5 core values listed on your My Core Values sheet. These values should represent 5 of your core values. So I want you to print out these core values and place a copy in your American Dream Guidebook. We're going to use these later, so make sure you print these out or write them down on a list and insert them into your American Dream Guidebook. Make sure that you have titled this document My Core Values, because many times throughout this course, we will refer to this list and other documents that you will create, and it may get confusing if you don't have each document properly titled or labeled. This list is distinct from your 25 personal values list. This will be your My Core Values list. We'll refine this list later, but for now you have a good idea of what are some of your most core values. Now don't worry, if they're not quite perfect, we'll touch them up later in the workshops. These values are some of the things that mean the most to you. There is a reason that you gravitate toward certain people, and that is a direct result of your personal values. Those values will later play a key role in designing your life's purpose statement. Thank you for your hard work. I know this took some time, but I guarantee it will be helpful as we move to the next workshop. Before you tackle the next workshop, I strongly suggest you set this training aside for the moment and sleep on it. I'd like you to have a fresh mind before you begin another group of intense mental exercises like this one. Just as your body needs rest between physical workouts, so does your mind need a period of time to renew and refresh its power reserves. You also need time to reflect on who you are. There is great benefit to deep personal reflection, so sleep on it if you can. At least take a break for 3 or 4 hours and then come back to this. A fresh mind will make all the difference as you begin the next module. So eat lunch, go for a run, walk the dog, but come back when you're ready and rested for the next module.